You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're going to do a little bit of mini crossover action for just a segment because the annual opponents came out. Hello, I'm Steven Willis from Locked On Ole Miss. He is John Williams from Locked On Sooners. And listen, Ole Miss fans thought they were going to end up with Arkansas as one of their three. I'm sure that Oklahoma is just as surprised as we are that Oklahoma ended up on the schedule. But honestly, John, this is a fun matchup to me. There's no animosity that's been built up over time. Ole Miss and Oklahoma have played two times, one last century, once this century.
Right.
And because of that, it's still just a new fun thing. Now, over the next 4 years, I'm sure some animosity is going to get built up. But right now, it's just a nice place to go. Ole Miss going to Oklahoma, Oklahoma fans coming down to Oxford. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, from all accounts, like every Oklahoma fan that I talked to that made the trip to Oxford last year absolutely loved their time, especially in the Grove, one of the better tailgating experiences in college football. And so we're excited to welcome the Rebels faithful up to Norman this year and see what their experience is going to be like. Oklahoma has expanded their tailgating experience this year to open up more opportunities to just interact and engage and fellowship and just have a lot of fun. So, man, yeah, I'm excited, man. It's not the one that I thought Oklahoma was going to get as the third permanent opponent. Texas was obvious. Missouri, to me, was going to be the next choice. But this is going to be a lot of fun, man. Lane Kiffin is must-see TV all the time. So hopefully he gets to stick around in Oxford for a long, long time and we can build this thing up.
Yeah, if you watch the documentary on Wednesday, it looks like he's going to be there for quite a bit. Anyway, listen, I'm going to be completely honest with Oklahoma fans. I have like I said, no animosity towards Oklahoma. Half of my family is from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
I grew up with Nebraska fans everywhere and being told that if Nebraska and Ole Miss ever played football, it would be a bad situation for Ole Miss. And granted, in the 90s, yeah, it probably would have been. But Ole Miss has never lost to Nebraska. Ole Miss has never lost to Oklahoma. I grew up rooting for Oklahoma in that game. I am of the age range to where the Oklahoma-Nebraska game was a big deal. I grew up rooting for Oklahoma in that game just to tick off my uncle who is around my age range. And so this is kind of a fun game. You have Marcus Dupree. You have a lot of connections outside of Ole Miss and Oklahoma. This is just going to be a fun game. I'm ready for it to happen. I'm ready for this year whenever Ole Miss goes up to, what do they call it? The Palace on the Plains, go up there.
Yeah, the Palace on the Prairie. The Palace on the Prairie.
Palace on the Prairie. It should be exciting. And Ole Miss has LSU this weekend. And if Ole Miss wins that game, they're going to be thinking playoff whenever they come up to Norman. So it should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, with the way that things have kind of transpired through the first 4 weeks of the season, there's a pretty good shot that both teams are undefeated. Now, Oklahoma would have to get through Texas and South Carolina for that to be the case. But, I mean, Texas has not looked like a world beater this year, and South Carolina has had their struggles as well. So, I mean, there's a pretty solid chance this could be a top 10 matchup when Ole Miss comes up to Norman. And, I mean, Trinidad, my goodness, dude, Trinidad Chambliss has just looked like an otherworldly being with the way that he's throwing the football right now for the Rebels. And so this is a chance to build into a great matchup this week or this season. And then for the next 4 years beyond, going back and forth, I expect both programs to be pretty good. And it's going to have playoff implications every time that they step on the field.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Now, granted, Oklahoma fans are probably upset that they're not getting the Ole Miss version from 2017. That's the version of Ole Miss that they wanted. But as it sits right now, it does have a chance to be a good game. I'm curious where they're going to put it on the schedule, though. That is my point, because Mississippi State's always at the end for Ole Miss. I hope, upon hope, that the SEC has the good sense to move the LSU game back to Halloween weekend like it's rightly supposed to be. But Oklahoma, I could see that being an end of September type rivalry game.
Yep.
I think that is the location.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because Oklahoma will have Texas on the second weekend of October. And then Jay and I were talking about it that my co-host at Locked On Sooners,
Mm-hmm.
that Missouri should probably be that Thanksgiving weekend game, the final regular season game of the year between Oklahoma and Missouri, just because it makes sense. They've played 97 times dating back to 1902, and every year from like 1910 to 1995, they played every single time except for in 1918 when World War I was going on. So that makes sense. So yeah, early September or end of September, or I mean, the SEC kind of got weird with their scheduling this year, and they had some week 2, week 3 conference games. So, I mean, we could have been talking OU Ole Miss after this past weekend or whatnot, but that makes a lot of sense. Now get down into Mississippi in September. That doesn't sound incredibly enticing with the humidity and what it's going to be, but also it gets pretty hot up in Oklahoma as well. So either way, it's going to be hot. So make sure you got your cool beverages on tap down at the Grove.
I watched a little bit of the Auburn and Oklahoma game this past weekend. I couldn't watch the whole thing because Ole Miss was playing at the exact same time. It just happened to work out that way. Everybody is going to talk about what happened in the decision. The more impressive thing to me in that ball game was the 2 plays by John Mateer in that winning drive. The pass down the field, just a perfect strike, and then the run for the go-ahead touchdown. John Mateer has the potential to have a transcendent type season. He can start having Heisman moments, potentially in my mind, against Texas. What do you think?
Yeah, that final drive was huge for him and for the Sooners, obviously, but you look at his first half stats, he was 8 of 16. He was not efficient. He was a little bit inaccurate, not quite settled, just didn't look quite comfortable with what Auburn was trying to do. They were playing a lot of coverage, trying to just rush 4 and then spy him. But then second half, in the third quarter, he was 12 of 16. In the fourth quarter, he was 4 of 4 and had the big 31-yard completion to Isaiah Satania, and then the 9-yard touchdown run, which happened to be Oklahoma's longest run of the day, against which is a really good Auburn defensive front. Yeah, man, that Texas game every single year, it's the standout. How you perform in that one a lot of times is going to tell the story of if you're going to go on and have a Heisman campaign, if you're going to have an All-American season, if you're going to be remembered in Oklahoma lore. You look back to 2023 with Dylan Gabriel. He's not going to go down as one of Oklahoma's most beloved quarterbacks of all time, but he's going to be up near the top of the list because he was able to orchestrate a 2-minute drill in the final couple minutes to give Oklahoma a lead and go win a Red River Showdown that I think everybody in Oklahoma felt like that was a must win after what happened in 2022 when they just got the brakes beat off of them in Brent Venables' first season. So if he goes and he has a big performance against what many consider a great Texas defense, then he'll certainly put himself in the conversation. But I mean, you got a guy down there in Oxford and Trinidad that wasn't the starter to begin the season, but came in for Austin Simmons and kind of stole the show over the last couple of weeks in SEC play and in non-conference play. And he's looked fantastic. He could be a dark horse contender right now as well.
Yeah, this is one of those games. If he has another game like he's had the last 2, he's definitely going to enter the conversation. He's a little bit slight of build. He kind of reminds me a little bit, especially of him running, of Kyler Murray.
Okay.
He has a little bit of that dead leg going around the corner that you would see from time to time. If he is effective against LSU, he's not going to see a better defense over the course of the season than LSU. So that gives you confidence going to Athens. That gives you confidence going to Norman. They're both very good defenses. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying LSU is really good. If that happens, that lets you know it's like, hey, maybe we'll be all right with Trinidad if he's the starting quarterback. But if not, if he struggles against LSU, I think you can see Austin Simmons kind of coming back around and the offense changing as well. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas, they don't have a defense necessarily to write home about, but Tulane is a well-coached team with John Summerall. I mean, that is a really tough team to play against because they're going to be schemed up really, really well. But Trinidad is putting up like video game numbers the last 2 weeks. 660 passing yards and 3 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks, 174 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns over the last couple of weeks. Dude, that's crazy. That is crazy. Those are Heisman numbers right there.
Yeah, John Summerall actually said after the game that he's an annoying player to play against. And he doesn't mean that as a bad thing, but you could have him absolutely schemed up and exactly what you want to happen, and he could still get a first down. He could still break a 40-yard run. And that's crazy to think about, that he was a backup quarterback 3 weeks ago and nobody really knew anything about him. Now it's like, ooh, what is Trinidad going to do next? And he also has just a great first name.
Yeah. I mean, he's Trinidad. Like, I don't care what his last name is anymore. He's just Trinidad. He's earned the one name moniker so far through his first couple of starts.
All right, John, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the annual opponents, Ole Miss and Oklahoma, for the next 4 years. Yeah, I can't wait
to see. Talk like Lane Kiffin versus Brent Venables, like the offensive defensive matchup.
We got 3
so much
weeks
fun,
to
man.
go for that. Yeah, we got 3 weeks to go for that. So yeah, we're going to cover that. But man, you have a good time. Tell Jay I said hey.
Yep.
And I'll see you on the squad shows, man.
Yep. Y'all have a great one.
Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves in offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, or comment. It helps the show and is absolutely free. Your support means the world to us. In another big moment for Locked On, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, and former college star Jesse Holley, as well as Locked On's local experts. I'll be on the show this week, by the way. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word meaning bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.